It's my honor to introduce Haven Kears, an assistant professor of landscape architecture at UC Davis, and Kevin Perry, principal of urban rain designs. Take it away, team.
So I think the first thing to ask is, what is a rain garden? Because the definition of that is oftentimes all over the board. But from a simplistic standpoint, basically a rain garden is a shallow landscape area designed with soils and plant material that can capture runoff from impervious area. That could be your rooftop, that could be your driveways, that could be sidewalk areas. And that once that water is captured into this landscape, it's allowed to slowly percolate into the ground, replenish your aquifers, or our aquifers at the same time. But being here in California, we know that it could be 6-7 months before we get rain. So rain gardens also function as dry gardens as well. So they're there, they're poised, they're ready to accept rainfall when that happens, but they're also thriving landscapes when it is dry outside too. Why do we need rain gardens? Well, if you take a hike into natural areas, you can kind of see this scenario where you have water moving naturally through a stream. And if it rained, that water would slowly move into the ground and it would eventually get to the stream. It's largely, entirely pervious system. There's a lot of plant material there. But in our urbanized condition, it's quite the opposite. So as we've built up our cities and towns and our neighborhoods, water, when it does rain, rainfall when it does rain, doesn't have the opportunity a lot of times to get into the ground as it would naturally. And the low point of that drainage is typically our roadways. But if you can see kind of in the right-hand side of your screen, you can see kind of a sheen of water coming from a landscape area or a driveway, that water is not allowed to go into the ground. And so the job or the opportunity for us as residents is to start to slowly allow our landscape, our private landscape, to be retrofitted to reduce the burden of water that's getting into our storm drain system. And when you pull back out and look at, say, the South Bay area, you can see that if you kind of squint your eyes, all that gray space in there, that's all the built up condition that I'm talking about. And when we do have a rainstorm, and it doesn't even have to be a really strong rainstorm, many of the urban creeks and streams are overwhelmed with stormwater. So this is a great opportunity to replace kind of thirsty lawn areas with the same type of long be gone rebate and rain garden incentive programs that are being introduced to you today. So the idea is to be able to take water from, say, your rooftop, your roof downspout, and to convert your lawn area into a rain garden space. And so the successful rain garden kind of boils down to maybe about 4 or 5 points. One is being able to capture rainfall from easy sources, such as rooftops, and direct that water to, again, those shallow recessed areas. But some critical points for rain gardens is being able to allow that water to move into the ground, but not necessarily right up against your building foundation, your house foundation. And we want to allow that water to move away from the foundation, at least 10 feet away. And then it has the opportunity to move into the ground. And like I mentioned before, these aren't deep facilities, they aren't deep landscapes, they're very shallow and allowing to just capture that water and let it move into the ground. And these rain garden plants are both plants that are adaptable to both wet and dry conditions. And to be honest, again, with our California landscape, they're going to be more adaptable to the dry condition. And then when that rainfall does occur, hopefully in any time now, then it's those plants can do their job to absorb that rainfall. And then the other critical piece, kind of the last piece for a successful rain garden, is being able to, I guess, allow the large storm events, the real strong downpours. Once your rain garden is maybe at capacity, it just can't handle any more rainfall from that particular day. It has a surface overflow route to allow that water to move to a safe area where it's not going to cause flooding or damage. I'm going to have Haven turn. I'm going to turn this over to Haven to just kind of talk about some of the benefits of rain gardens.
That's great. So if you want to go to the next slide. So there are a bunch of benefits of rain gardens. And one that's actually not listed up here, but is my personal favorite, is that they're beautiful. It's an aesthetic. It's something that especially if we're talking about these rebates and taking out your lawn, if you can add something that's beautiful and bring in flowers, I mean, that's really the thing that drives me. Additionally, the biodiversity aspect, right? And so in that, we're talking about both plants and bringing in plants into our urban landscape and bringing in different types of plants, maybe even native plants, and reestablishing those pollinator plant insect relationships that have been going on, evolutionary for years and years, bringing that into our urban areas, bringing in the beneficial insects and the pollinators. But then the other thing, and one of the main reasons we're here, is to decrease the amount of stormwater runoff and reduce the amount of pollutants that are going into our streams and water bodies. If we can capture that in a rain garden, and if we can actually recharge our local aquifers, that's going to be so much better. And in addition, if we're using the right species, and we'll talk a little bit more about those as we get further, if we can use water efficient, drought tolerant species, then that's even better. Then we don't have to use copious amounts of water to make this rain garden thrive. Okay, next slide.
Great. And so again, to help inspire all of you to retrofit your existing lawn space or landscape space, we've got some transformations to share, and these are all hypothetical, and these are all kind of computer generated, so nothing's been built here yet, right? So here's kind of a before condition of a landscape space, and there's an opportunity. There's a downspout right next to that garage. Can we redirect that downspout water into kind of a long, narrow planter space to slowly capture that water? What about this example here in a front lawn area? You could certainly take out that entire space and insert rain garden application to there. Or there's another example, multiple downspouts at this front yard location, and it's a great opportunity, almost a blank slate environment to retrofit this landscape into a rain garden, and maybe even have a little bridge that allows someone entering the house to have kind of a direct feel of moving over the landscape. Or perhaps this example here. Not only are we introducing a rain garden, but also maybe even a rain barrel to accept water first and capture that water for potential harvesting later on. And here is an example of not necessarily, you don't have to take out your entire lawn, but maybe just a portion of it. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but here's an existing landscape. How about inserting just a rain garden on a portion of it? You can keep part of your lawn if you have active users that want to use that space, and introduce kind of a partial application and redirect that water into that space. So again, just kind of showing these are built examples of different rain gardens throughout Northern California to showcase a lot of different plant material utilized, some of them quite colorful and beautiful. Again, the points that Haven had hit upon in terms of biodiversity and beauty of the landscape. I'm just kind of giving a sense of a lot of different applications that could be used